I never expected to wake up in a hospital bed with no memory of the crash that almost ended my life, or the marriage that supposedly ended before it. According to everyone, I had died 6 months ago. According to the papers, my husband had mourned. Me inherited everything I left behind and married someone else, but I survived. And when I learned I had inherited $11 million just days before the accident, something didn't feel right. No one, not even my grieving husband, had come looking for me. So I did what any sane woman would do. I walked right into my old life, wearing the scars they thought would keep me silent. What I didn't expect was her, his new wife, collapsing the second she saw me. That moment told me more than any lawyer or doctor ever could. Someone knew I wasn't supposed to survive, and now I need to know why. They told me I died on a Tuesday. The nurse whispered it like a secret when she thought I was still unconscious. She was declared dead 6 months ago. I heard it through the fog of painkillers and broken memory, my body wrapped in gauze and disbelief. No one was supposed to survive that crash. Not the driver, not me, not the truth. The last thing I remembered before the impact was my phone lighting up with a text from my lawyer. Inheritance finalized, $11 million transferred. That was it. No celebration, no champagne. Just the taste of metal in my mouth and then nothing. When I finally spoke, my voice cracked like old wood. "What's my name?" The nurse jumped. "You don't remember?" I shook my head. "Your name is Claire Hastings. You were in a car. Crash on Route 7. You've been here? A long time." They didn't tell me how long right away. No one wanted to. It was in their eyes. The way they avoided looking at the full extent of the burns down my left side, or the way the plastic surgeon's tone flattened when he said, "You're lucky to be alive." But I didn't feel lucky. It was when the hospital administrator finally came to see me that I realized something was deeply wrong. She looked pale when she opened my chart. "You have no emergency contact listed. No family has called." "I have a husband," I said. "Not anymore. According to our records." "You're deceased." I laughed, sharp and bitter. "Clearly I'm not." She didn't laugh. She handed me a newspaper clipping. "Local woman presumed dead in fiery wreck. Husband mourns loss." A photo of James, my husband, standing by a coffin that didn't hold me, holding hands with a woman I'd never seen before. Smiling. It felt like being erased. I spent the next few weeks recovering in silence, my identity slowly returning in fragments. I remembered our wedding, our fights, the way James used to trace my collarbone when I cried. I remembered that the money wasn't his. It was mine, a late inheritance from my estranged grandfather. And I remembered that I had made James the secondary beneficiary, only if something happened to me. I didn't tell the hospital that part. I asked for a discharge as soon as I could walk. I went back to the city on a Greyhound bus, with a hood pulled low over my healing face. No one recognized me, and I didn't blame them. But I knew where James would be. The house we bought together was just as I left it, except the flower boxes had been changed, the car in the driveway wasn't mine, and someone else's laugh echoed through the windows. I waited until morning. Then I rang the doorbell. It took 3 rings before someone answered. Not James. Her. The woman from the photo. She opened the door with a coffee in her hand and a cardigan too big for her shoulders. Her smile vanished the moment she saw me. At E. First, she looked confused, then terrified. Her grip on the mug loosened. "Claire?" she whispered, barely breathing. I stepped forward. "I need to see my husband." She staggered back. The mug slipped from her hand and shattered on the tiles. She didn't even look at it. She looked at me, then collapsed. I didn't move. I didn't even blink. Because in that exact moment, I knew. She wasn't just shocked to see a dead woman standing on her porch. She was afraid, and I had no idea why. She didn't faint like someone caught off guard. She collapsed like someone whose worst fear had just walked through the door. The woman, James's new wife, lay crumpled at my feet, her breathing shallow, face pale as snow. I stood frozen in the doorway, stunned at how quickly the confrontation, had spiraled into chaos. I hadn't said more than a sentence, but it was enough to unravel her. I heard footsteps rushing down the stairs. Then came the voice I hadn't heard in over half a year. "Rachel, what happened?" And then James was in front of me. He stopped cold when he saw me. His mouth opened slightly like he was about to speak, but no words came. I could see it in his eyes. Not joy, not even disbelief, just calculation. It lasted less than 2 seconds, but I saw it. That split second where he looked at me like a problem to solve, not a miracle to embrace. "Claire," he said cautiously, like he wasn't sure if I was a ghost or a threat. "But how?" "She needs help," I said, nodding at Rachel, who was slowly stirring, her eyes fluttering open like someone waking up from a nightmare they didn't escape. James hesitated, then rushed to her side, touching her face gently. Rachel, breathe. It's okay. I'm here." She clung to him like a drowning woman. "She's supposed to be dead," she whispered. "You said she was dead." The word stabbed me harder than anything in the hospital ever had. Didn't wait for explanations. I stepped inside and shut the door behind me. My legs were shaking, but I forced my voice to stay calm. I need to know what's going on, and I need to know now. James stood up slowly, adjusting his stance like he was bracing for a negotiation. "Claire, listen. There was a crash. They said no one survived. Your ID was found. Dental records confirmed they were wrong." I snapped. "And you didn't question it?" He rubbed the back of his neck, glancing at Rachel. "It wasn't just me. Everyone believed it. There was a funeral. You remarried. You moved on. Fast." Rachel sat up on the couch, her face still ghost white. "He told me you were gone. He cried for weeks. He couldn't have known." But I wasn't looking at her. I was watching James. His hands, his eyes, his stillness. "You inherited everything," I said, stepping closer. "You got the money, my money, and you didn't even ask for a second autopsy?" "I didn't know about the money," he said quickly. Too quickly. I waited. "Your lawyer contacted me weeks after the crash," he added. "Said your inheritance was finalized, and as your legal spouse, I was entitled to it." "And Rachel?" He didn't answer. She looked up at me, her lip trembling. "I didn't marry him for money. I loved him. I love him. I should have felt angry. Or betrayed. But what I felt most was suspicion. Not toward her, toward him. Because while Rachel looked like someone caught in a storm she didn't create, James looked like someone who'd been watching the clouds roll in for a long time. "You said I was declared dead," I said. "But you didn't try to find the body." James opened his mouth, but I kept going. "There was no body, was there? Just fire, a burned-out shell, and you didn't ask any questions. Why?" He was silent. Then Rachel spoke. Quietly. Hesitantly. "James told me something. The night before the funeral. He said maybe it was for the best. That you were never meant to have that money." My heart stopped. "What do you mean?" I whispered. She looked between us, terrified. "I thought he meant emotionally, that it would change you, make things worse. But now, I don't know." James's expression twisted for just a second. Enough to scare her. "Get out," he said. "Excuse me? You shouldn't have come here," he said, stepping toward me. "You died, Claire, that's what everyone believes. Do you have any idea what this will do to my life?" There it was. Not concern, not fear, just damage control. I looked down at Rachel. "Did you know he said that to me the night before the crash? That he wished it was all over?" She shook her head slowly, but I saw it again. That flicker of something. Recognition. "He said it was just stress," I added. "But he made me change the will. He pushed for it. You know that, don't you?" She didn't speak. James did. "This isn't a conversation we should be having here." I stepped back, reaching for the doorknob. "You're right. It's a conversation we'll have with the police." He lunged forward, slamming the door shut behind me before I could open it. "No, Claire, you don't want to do that." And when he said it, it didn't sound like a threat. It sounded like a promise. I didn't flinch when he slammed the door. I stared straight into his eyes, daring him to finish what he started. But James didn't raise his voice. He didn't threaten. He didn't even reach for me. He just looked tired, cold. Like the man I married had been quietly replaced by someone who'd memorized his face but not his heart. "You don't want to make this public," he said. "Think about what it will do to your name, to your story. People will ask why you waited, why you didn't reach out." "I was in a coma," I said, stunned that he even needed that explained. He waved that off like it was a detail. "Still, you show up now, months later, claiming to be the victim. People will dig. You don't want that." "Don't I?" I asked. "Because I think it's the only way I'll survive this twice." Rachel was standing now, clutching the edge of the table like her legs were still deciding if they could support the weight of the truth. She hadn't said a word since James closed the door, but her eyes kept flicking to me, like she couldn't look away. "Why did you marry her?" I asked him. "Tell me the truth. Was it always part of the plan?" James didn't answer right away. He sat down slowly on the arm of the couch, exhaling like the lie had been waiting to get out for weeks. "She made me feel clean," he said. "That stunned me. I spent years with you watching your family fall apart, watching you unravel under the pressure of being their golden girl." Rachel didn't ask questions. She didn't come with ghosts. I looked at Rachel. She looked away. "She came with money?" I asked. He shook his head. "No, she came with loyalty, the kind that doesn't ask for prenups or conditions." "So, she didn't know about the inheritance?" I asked. "No," he said. "But she knew about your grandfather. She knew you were the only heir." And just like that, something slipped into place. "She met him," I whispered. "Before the crash." Rachel's silence told me everything I needed. I walked to the mantel, staring at the family photos that now had no trace of me. I had been scrubbed, erased, not even a shadow left behind. "Did you think I wouldn't wake up?" I asked. James didn't answer. "You said something to the paramedics, didn't you?" I said. "You arrived at the scene before they did. You told them not to check the wreck, that the fire was too far gone." Now it was Rachel who reacted, her head jerking toward him. "You were there?" she said. "Before the ambulance?" James stood. "I didn't tell you because it didn't matter. The car was unrecognizable. There was no way anyone could survive that. But I did," I said, and that's when his voice cracked. "Yeah, you did, and now everything's falling apart." It wasn't a confession. It was a complaint. "I want the money back," I said. "Every cent. I want the house, the assets, the car, everything you touched with your bloody hands." Rachel stepped forward. "Claire!" "No," I snapped. "You don't get to speak. Not until you explain why you collapsed when you saw me." She froze. I moved toward her slowly. "Because I wasn't just a ghost. I was a problem. And you were terrified it meant something had gone wrong." Rachel's voice shook. "James told me there were details about the accident, that it might have been tampered with." My stomach turned. "You knew?" "I didn't know, I suspected. But I thought he was grieving. I thought he was just paranoid. I didn't ask questions because I was afraid of what I'd find." "You were afraid of losing the life you stole," I said. James cut in. "Don't act like you were innocent in this either, Claire. You were planning to leave me." I found the emails. My heart dropped. "You hacked my computer?" "I needed to know," he said. "You were going to disappear with that money. You were going to leave me with nothing." I stared at him, stunned. "So instead, you made sure I'd never leave at all." He didn't deny it. Silence fell, heavy and final. Then Rachel whispered, "You didn't kill her, did you?" James turned to her slowly and said nothing. He didn't say yes. He didn't say no. He just stood there, frozen, like the weight of the question had snapped something inside him. Rachel backed away as if she'd just seen him for the first time, as if the man she married had vanished the moment the truth stepped into the room. "You didn't kill her, did you?" That sentence still echoed in the room, unanswered and unforgiven. I watched James carefully. Every blink, every shift of weight, every muscle twitch that screamed he was hiding something. "I didn't cause the crash," he finally said. "But I didn't stop it either." Rachel gasped. I stepped forward, my voice barely above a whisper. "What does that mean?" "It means," he said slowly, "that I saw your car that night. I followed you. I knew where you were going." "To the lawyer's office," I said. He nodded. "To change your will again. To cut me out." I remembered now. I had suspected something was off. I never told him I was rewriting the terms, only that I wanted to make things more secure. But he had always known how to find things he wasn't supposed to see. My calendar, my notes, my fears. "You followed me," I repeated. He nodded. "And I saw the truck, the one that hit you. It wasn't an accident, but I didn't stop it." "That hit harder than anything else you watched?" I asked. He flinched. "I wasn't close enough to intervene. It all happened fast, and when I got to the wreck, I saw the flames. I panicked." "Panicked?" Rachel whispered. "Or waited." James turned to her, suddenly defensive. "I wasn't going to run." "Into a burning car, Rachel. It was already over." "But it wasn't," I said. "I was alive. Barely, but alive." He looked at me, something cold settling in his expression. "And now you're here? With 11 million reasons to ruin both our lives," I could have screamed, cried, thrown something. But I didn't. I just walked toward him, slow and deliberate. "You didn't just let me burn. You took everything. You built a new life on a coffin you knew was empty." James opened his mouth, but Rachel cut in. "What truck?" she asked, her voice sharper now. "You said it was a collision, that it was a random accident." James faltered. "I didn't know who was driving it." "You just watched her get hit and decided not to tell anyone? Because it wasn't supposed to go that far," he shouted suddenly. "It was just supposed to scare her, make her pull back, change her mind about cutting me out." I stepped back, heart pounding. "You hired someone." He didn't answer, but his silence said more than any confession ever could. Rachel started to shake. "Oh my God, you knew. You planned it." James's jaw clenched. She was going to leave me. She was going to take everything. I had nothing left. I looked him dead in the eyes. "And now you do. You have everything. Except your soul." Rachel was crying now, but not like a wife mourning her husband's sins. More like someone realizing she had slept beside a stranger. A criminal. A coward. "I'm going to the police," I said. James shook his head. "No, you're not." "I am," I repeated. "You don't get it, Claire. If I go down, you do too. People will ask how you survived and stayed hidden. Why you didn't call anyone. Why you waited. I had brain damage. I had no memory. They won't care. You're a headline now. Woman back from the dead exposes husband's plot. But headlines turn into investigations, into trials, into character assassinations. I'll take that risk. You think the police care about justice?" he asked. "They care about narrative. You'll be dragged through it. Everything. Your past, your family, your breakdowns. Everything will be twisted." "I don't care," I said. Rachel stood suddenly, her voice shaky but clear. "I care." "I'm coming with her," James laughed. "You? Please. You don't even know what you're involved in." Her eyes narrowed. "Maybe I didn't, but I do now." Then she turned to me. "I know where he kept the burner phone. The one he used that night." My breath caught. "You saw it?" "I found it once. Thought it was for work. But if we can find it, maybe there are messages, calls, proof." James stepped forward. "Rachel, don't." She held up her hand. "You already made your choice, James. Now I'm making mine." I looked at her, unsure if I could trust her, but also sure I had no other choice. We had to find that phone. Where is it? I asked. She hesitated. In the storage unit. The one under his sister's name. James froze, and in that split second of hesitation, I knew she was right. We didn't wait until morning. Rachel drove. I sat beside her, one hand gripping the armrest, the other fisted in my lap. Neither of us spoke for most of the ride. The only sounds were the tires humming against the road and the thoughts clawing through my head. Was she really helping me? Or just trying to protect herself? I didn't care. Not in that moment. We had a lead. A way to prove what James did. And maybe, just maybe, I could stop living like a ghost. The storage facility was on the edge of town. Remote, forgettable, a place meant to be overlooked. Rachel signed in under the name Lauren Pierce, James's sister, who I hadn't seen since our wedding. The clerk barely glanced at the ID unit 27B. A narrow hallway, cold air, the smell of dust and motor oil. She entered the code. The lock popped open. Inside, it was nothing like I expected. It wasn't just old furniture and forgotten junk. It was meticulous. Labeled boxes, a wall of file cabinets, a covered motorcycle, and in the far corner, a locked steel case the size of a microwave, tucked beneath a tarp. That's it, Rachel said, her voice shaking. I pulled back the tarp and ran, my hand over the surface of the box. Combination? I asked. She nodded. It's his birthday, same as always. I entered the code 110385 and the lock clicked. Inside, we found exactly what we needed. The burner phone was black, scratched, still charged, a miracle in itself. I powered it on, half expecting it to be wiped, but it wasn't. Messages loaded slowly, dozens, maybe more. Rachel leaned over my shoulder. Go to the last call log. I did. One number, repeated 3 times just minutes before the crash. I clicked on it. There was a name saved. Driver. My blood turned to ice. There were also texts, brief, coded. She's leaving now. Same route? Keep it clean, no blood. Got it. Rachel gasped. I knew it, she whispered. He hired someone. I scrolled further. There was even a voice memo. I tapped play. At first, just static. Then James's voice. I don't care what happens after. She just needs to be off the road. Make it messy, but no police. I want this to look like karma, not a setup. I dropped the phone like it burned. Rachel covered her mouth. We had enough. More than enough. But my body felt numb. Not with fear, with something deeper. Exhaustion, vindication, rage that sat still and quiet, like it had finally found a home. We went straight to the police station. They didn't believe us at first. They asked every question James said they would. Why now? Why wait? Why didn't you call before? But the phone changed everything. They took it, made copies, called in specialists, pulled surveillance from the crew storage unit's gate, started building a case. James was arrested that night. The media caught it fast. Husband arrested in plot to kill dead, wife who returned from the grave. The story went viral in hours. My name was everywhere. So was my face, what was left of it. But I didn't hide anymore. And Rachel? She gave a full statement. Cooperated in everything. Claimed she didn't know the full plan, which maybe was true. But she'd lived in the house he built on my grave. That truth will always belong to her, no matter how the court sees it. I watched his trial from the back row. He never looked at me. When the verdict came in, guilty on all counts, I didn't cry. I didn't cheer, I just breathed. For the first time since the crash, I felt like I existed again. People still stop me on the street, ask me what it was like to come back. If I feel lucky, if I believe in second chances, I always say the same thing. No. One gives you your life back. You have to take it. But what I don't say, what I never say, is that sometimes surviving isn't the hardest part. Living with what you know is, And what I know is this: someone else out there drove that truck, and they've never been found.